Dear students, welcome you all to the class of fluid mechanics. Today we will start the chapter Fluid Statics. In this chapter, we deal with the forces applied by fluids at rest or in rigid body motion. In today's lecture, we will study some definition like stress, pressure, atmospheric pressure and pressure head. Then we will see different references used to measure the pressure. We will be also familiar with Pascal's law and its derivation. At the completion of today's lecture, we will be able to calculate the pressure at any point within the fluid region. Force is applied to a body in two ways, either as body force or surface force. The body force is the type of force which is exerted on the body through a distance. Force due to gravity, electric fields and magnetic fields are the example of body forces. Whereas the surface force is the force that develops due to direct contact with the body, like friction force, pressure force, etc. A material, when subjected to an external force, undergoes a deformation. Against this deformation, the material offers a resistance which tends to prevent that deformation. The force of resistance offered by a body against the deformation is called stress. Intensity of stress is calculated as the ratio of resisting force and cross-sectional area. Consider that a force is acting on a surface of cross-sectional area A. When this force is resolved into two components, that is, along the normal to the surface and along the tangent to the surface, then the normal component of the force is known as normal force and the tangent force is termed as shear force, and corresponding stress is known as normal stress and shear stress respectively. In a fluid system, when the fluid is at rest, then the normal stress is known as pressure. Since fluid cannot sustain any amount of shear stress when it is at rest condition, so tangential stress or shear stress in the fluid is taken as zero. Since pressure is the ratio of force and area, so its unit will be Newton per meter square. The unit Newton per meter square is also written as pascals, bar and in many other units. Each body which is in direct contact with the open atmosphere experiences pressure due to the surrounding atmosphere. This pressure is known as atmospheric pressure. The value of 1 atmospheric pressure at sea level under normal condition is 1.01325 into 10 to the power 5 Newton per meter square. A reference is required to measure any quantity. Likewise, to measure pressure, two references are used, which are vacuum and local atmospheric pressure. When the pressure is measured with zero or vacuum as a reference, then that pressure is called absolute pressure. And when the local atmospheric pressure is taken as a reference, then the measured pressure is called gauge or vacuum pressure depending on its value. Pressure is written as gauge pressure when the value of pressure is greater than atmospheric pressure. But when the value is less than the local atmospheric pressure, it is written as vacuum pressure. On the basis of this consideration, a relationship can be established among absolute pressure, atmospheric pressure, and gauge or vacuum pressure. Now I would like to ask you a question. Can we lift a heavy car with one hand? We must have Superman-like power that can lift a heavy car comfortably. But it's not like that. With the help of hydraulic jack, we can also lift a heaviest vehicle. This hydraulic jack works on the principle of Pascal's law. The Pascal's law states that the pressure at a point in a fluid at rest is same in all directions, or it can be stated as the normal stresses at any point in a fluid element at rest are directed towards the point from all directions and they are of the equal magnitude. These stresses are denoted by a scalar quantity P and is defined as the hydrostatic pressure. The hydrostatic pressure is always compressive in nature. To prove the Pascal's law, let's consider a small fluid element of triangular wedge shape as shown in this figure. Since the fluid is at rest, the net force in any direction will be zero. In this figure, it can be seen that there are two forces acting in the x direction. One force is acting in the rightward direction due to pressure Px. Second force is acting towards left direction, which is horizontal component of force due to Pn. When we calculate all the forces in x direction, then we get the net force as Px del y del z minus Pn del y del z, which will be equal to 0 since fluid is at rest condition. This equation leads to Px is equal to Pn. Similarly, when we write the equilibrium equation for forces in y and z direction, we will get Py is equal to Pn and Pz is equal to Pn respectively. Combining all these equations, we get Px is equal to Py is equal to Pz is equal to Pn. That is, pressure at a point is same in all the direction. And this theory is known as Pascal's law. Hydrostatic equation is an expression which represents pressure field at any point within the static fluid. Consider a fluid element of rectangular parallelepiped shape within a static fluid region as shown in this figure. This element is subjected to two forces. One is body force, which is due to gravity only, and the other is pressure force, which is due to pressure at each face. The pressure at the center of parallelepiped is assumed as P, which is a function of x, y and z. By using Taylor series expansion, we can calculate the pressure at each face of the rectangular parallelepiped. After calculating all the forces in y direction, we will get the net surface force acting on the element in the y direction dFy is equal to minus del P by del y into del x del y del z. Similarly, the net surface forces in the x and z direction will be minus del P by del x into del x del y del z and minus del P by del z into del x del y del z respectively. When we write these surface forces in the vector form also, the total force acting on the fluid element will be summation of surface force and the body force. Now the total force per unit volume will be written as minus gradient of pressure plus rho g. For a static fluid, the total force per unit volume will be 0. If we write this equation separately for x, y and z direction, then we will get this equation for corresponding direction. When we put the component of the gravity for x, y and z direction, then we will get the set of these three equations, which tells that pressure does not change in x and y direction, which means the pressure remains same at any point in a xy plane, but it varies only in the vertical plane, and the pressure gradient in the vertical direction is equal to the weight density of the fluid at that point. This hydrostatic law valid under three conditions. The fluid is at rest condition, gravitational force is the only body force applying on the fluid element, and the z axis is vertical and upward. When we integrate the hydrostatic equation, we will get a linear relation between pressure and depth, which tells that pressure varies linearly with the depth or height, which means that pressure at any point in a static mass of liquid depends only upon the vertical depth of that point below the free surface and the specific weight of the liquid, and it does not depend upon the shape and size of the bonding container. This is known as hydrostatic paradox. Now we know that the pressure at any point in a static fluid is equal to the specific weight times of the vertical height of the free surface above that point. This vertical height is called pressure head. For two distinct fluids where the pressure at a point is same, the hydrostatic equation will be gamma 1 H1 is equal to gamma 2 H2. If S1 and S2 are a specific gravity of the two liquids, then the equation leads to S1 H1 is equal to S2 H2. It means for a particular pressure head will be larger for low density fluid. This is the reason why mercury is used in barometer, because to measure atmospheric pressure, the pressure head in mercury tube will be 76 cm only, but in water tube the pressure head will be 10.3 meter. That's all for today. We'll continue it in the next lecture. Thank you.